whether you've got a Boxster, a Cayman or a 911, and whether you call this thing the door card or the door panel, it sometimes helps all of us to be able to take it off to sort out problems going on behind it, which is exactly what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Hello everyone, welcome to Project 981, welcome back to the channel. Now whether you've got a 981 Boxster or Cayman, 982, which is the 718 generation Boxster and Cayman, and the 991 generation 911, they all share a common door card or door panel, and the mechanism for taking that off and putting it back on is equally common. Now I've got a couple of jobs I want to do on my car, door check straps, some light tinkering, so I thought I'd make a video about taking the door panel, the door card off. I can show you what's behind it, I can show you how to put it back on, and hopefully encourage you to have a go yourself if you want to. And I would encourage you to have a go because Porsche have made it remarkably easy, as I understand it compared to other brands, to actually take this whole thing off in quite a painless process. And that gives us the ability to do some work at home, which is what I'm going to do. So I'll make a start. So the clever thing about Porsche's door card design is that it's not dependent on a whole load of fiddly screws and fastenings to support the panel on the door. The weight of this is actually held in place by a series of cups and hooks that are moulded into the back of this. The screws that we need to take out, they simply do the job of securing the whole thing in place once those hooks and cups are doing their job. Now the screws sit behind a couple of bits of trim. That's the first thing we need to remove, so let's have a look at those. So there's 4 screws and there's 4 bits of trim you need to remove to get to the screws. Well, actually you don't need to remove 4, you need to remove 3, but there's a 4th we have to take out. The first piece is this end blanking plate here. The second piece is a very small fillet sitting inside the door there. The third piece is this larger moulding, the bit that says airbag here, and there's 2 screws, one there, one there. And the last piece, which doesn't have a screw behind it, but we have to take off, is this little triangle fillet, which just does the job of filling in the gap of the wing mirror, behind the wing mirror. One of the nice things about this job is it doesn't actually require that many tools. In fact, it only really requires 2. It requires a Torx 30 bit with a, in this case, screwdriver body, doesn't need a ratchet or anything, and then some trim removal tools, a thinner pointy one, and then just sort of the flatter blade one, again both very slim, that's the point of them, and that pretty much is all you need. Okay, let's make a start. Now this has got 2 little sprung pieces behind it, so we just want to just gently come in from the underneath and then maybe work around the side. So there, just pop it off. There we go. Nice and easy, no damage there. And that's come out very easily, and you can see how that works. So with that piece of trim out, you can see there's a bolt head, screw head there, so I'm just going to pop the screwdriver in. It's not too tight, and it really is as simple as taking it out, and we're number 1 done. Okay, let's have a go. So coming down from behind, I'm going to pull the door handle open. There's a very small little gap at the top there. Just using that, possibly the other end's even fine. I'm just going to push it in, and literally it requires the least amount of effort, and that comes out, and we can see that's got, there's a little hook at one end, 2 sprung clips there, so the hook is probably of more significance in putting it back in, but in terms of coming it out, it just pops out, falls away. And actually while we're here, that reveals the Torx screw which is in there. So let me now get my Torx screwdriver. That goes in quite a long way in. And then, funnily enough, again, not too tightly done up. I don't think they've got thread lock on them. And there, stop it scratching anything. And that's number 2 done. Right, the third and biggest piece is this one here, and it's actually a single piece despite that gap down the middle. Probably easiest to start from the back and then to sort of get your fingers underneath it, go around to the side possibly. Yeah, you want to just do this gently with your fingers actually. If you can get under the back, just push it, that's it. So there's a series of push-in fits. I'll show you. But if you get your finger around the back and just then work them around the front, it will just come away. There we go, it's come off at the top, and then just fingers behind, and the last one from the front, finger in there, that's come away. So let's have a look at that. It's this push-in piece which goes into a metal spring effectively, so they're pretty robust. Now when that comes off, just keep an eye out because there's a couple of studs and they've got little rubber boots on them. Now the rubber boot there has stayed in fact we could take it out. No, it's happy to stay in, that's there. The rubber boot there's come out, which goes in there, so that's come out perfectly well. Right, okay, so here we've got two more of our torques, and you can see, for example, the wiring bits and pieces in here, so we can get those out easily enough. Again, just useful to remind ourselves at this point that we're not actually worrying about the door card falling off at this point, because the screws are not holding it on, they're merely securing it to the door. The weight is supported by a couple of other as I say, cups and hooks behind that, so those two come out easily. The last piece while we're here is this little piece. There's no screw behind it, but it's just easier to take the card off with that out of the way. Now to get that up, I'm going to just, now this piece is worth doing in a specific order because of the way it's designed behind there. We want to start at the back and rotate it forward, so just come underneath there, pop it up, it goes forward, and then we can work it up once it's forward, and then when it's sort of at that angle, lift it up a little bit, and there's a little, once it's away from the body, there's then a little hook shape, hopefully you can see that, just to come out there. So tip it forward, pull it away and up, and then you can see that little hook. There's a little catch there, so just bring it away and up from that. Now, as I say, there's no screw there. There is a screw there. Don't undo that. You don't need to worry about that. But just that piece makes it easy to lift this off. So those are our 4 pieces of trim off and our 4 screws out. So next is lifting the card off the actual frame. Okay, so quick reminder before I take this off. Piece out the end, 1 bolt out of there. Piece in the door handle out, 1 bolt in there. End piece to trim out, 2 bolts in there, and then the little plastic piece on here, but no bolt behind that. And then literally we just have to lift it off, which I'm going to try and do now. I haven't done this in off camera. Up inch or so, 1.5 inches, 2 or 3 centimeters, and then just away from the door. Now when we take it away from the door, it's still connected by the electrical connector behind here and the cable, which is the mechanism that drives the door handle. So when I lift it up and off, I'm going to put my hand down the back and release those, and I'll show you separately how that works. But let's get this off now. Could be a bit of fumbling here, just have to just gently lift it up and away. And there it goes. So I'm now going to sit it back on a couple of those bits there. There we are. I'm going to pop the electrical connector. There we go. That comes up and away in one piece. And I'll show you this separately in a moment, so don't worry if you can't see it, because obviously you can't. And then there's the cable, which is the the way that the door handle operates. We pull that, take the tension off the cable, and then release the barrel at the end, and that is literally the door card off the door. Right, let me show you what's going on behind here and you can understand what I've just been fiddling with. So what was I fiddling with to get the door card off? Two things. First of all, here's the socket for where the plug goes. I'll show you that separately. And then secondly, there's the cable mechanism for the door handle. So what you're trying to do is you put your hand down the back, squeeze the ends there, and you see the arms ever so slightly open, and that releases the clips. With them open, you then pull it to the right. You so squeeze open and push it right, and that releases this body from the back of the door card. With that released, you can then just wiggle out the barrel out of the aperture that's in. It sounds complicated, it's actually really easy. So just squeeze those open, slide it back, and then pop the barrel out, and then the whole thing will come away, and that is, at that point, job done. So here's the other side of that panel. This is where the cable sits, and it's this little frame here that you're removing the white clip from. So the little barrel at the end of the cable goes in there, and then moving over to where the electrics are. So this is the plug you take out, and what you're trying to do is just release that little pink bar by depressing the little tab behind it. You push that in, when that's down it pops up, and the action of, there's a little cam action, when the action of lifting the lever up pulls the socket out of the plug, and then it's just released, and that's all then free. So what have we got here? Let's have a look. That's the wiring for the various bits on my car. There's the back of the speaker baffle, not the speakers itself. The back of the storage, which is in there, with the sort of the spring mechanism for closing that. One on the other side. That's the reflector. Watch my puddle light video for getting that out. And that's pretty much it, really. As you can see, the whole thing comes off. Now, I've been talking about these hooks and cups, and actually here they are. Let's have a look. That's one there. So you can see the profile of that quite clearly there, and there's a whole load, I think it's about 7 in total. Some of them are set at a different angle. There's one just set there, another one down there, and they sit in corresponding cups on the actual middle panel of the door, which I'll show you now. So looking again at the door, this of the inner door frame, here's a good example of one of those cups, for want of a better description, and you can see it's got a bit of rubber on it to stop the rattle, but it sits, that's where those go in. Another one down there, another one there. You can see how this works, get an idea of how it works. Another one just in the middle of shot above the speaker there. So that's what those clip into, and it works pretty well. What else can we see here? Well, the actual airbag mechanism itself, which I think is this here. And then there's the two, on my car, 2 speakers, smaller and larger cones there. We've talked about the cable for the door release, and a few other random bits and pieces, but it's pretty straightforward really, and all the wiring, as I say, goes up into a master sort of unit here, and that's it. So I shall have a bit of a tidy up next, then we can put it all back together again. So I am doubling up on jobs today, but what you need to know now is I've given the interior of that a clean. I've also, if you want to watch the other video, taken the speaker off and replaced the door check strap, which is down there. So that's been done, and that's all good and proper. So we've now got, I'm going to jump into the garage. I have now got 2 door cards that are ready to go back on, and I have tidied up the back sides of both, a bit of a clean and a hoover. I've also installed the puddle light. Just let that slide. You can see the puddle lights I've wired in and added a second loom. A bit of cleaning around here, a bit of leather cream, you know, do it once, do it properly. Then this is the driver's door, but otherwise is exactly the same. So extra loom in, splitting there, running it down, puddle light, everything nice and clean. I need to just put a little bit of grease, or just work that grease back into the place where the barrel for the cable joins. Do that on both sides, and we'll start to get both of those back in. Right, door card, door, ready to go back on. So the first two things is to reconnect the electrics and the cable, which I'm going to do kind of slightly out of sight. Let's do the, so I'm just going to rest it on the footing there. We need to put the cable in first, so we're going to remount the handy hack viewers. When you bring this back in, put the cable barrel into the body first, and then reattach the tensioning clip, the white plastic clip. That's gone in perfectly. Now we can address the electrics, and that goes in. So with the cam action on this, when you push the lever down, has the effect of locking the plug in place. So that's gone in, that's clipped in. Now the trick here is to sit the door card about an inch above the frame and waggle it into position. And I'm going to do this carefully. Okay, I don't think that's on. Right, now I think after a bit of faffing that's back on, and actually one of the telltales is, do the holes line up for the bolts, the screws? And yes, they do. I've got a uniform gap around the card against the frame, and everything lines up, and that's the correct, which is to say usual height there. And actually if I just give it a bit of a pull, I'm not sensing anything moving, so I'm happy that that's now in position. So we can go ahead and put the screws back in now. Now at this point, the video of me screwing in the screws, well, it went a bit screwy, but they went in perfectly well with a touch of a thread lock to be on the safe side. If you fancy seeing more videos of me actually doing some stuff rather than doing voiceover, then do consider subscribing to the channel, and a like and a thumbs up are always welcome. Anyway, on with the video. Right, those are the 4 trim pieces, and actually they do all have a little R for right on them. So if you had taken off all the trim pieces from both doors at the same time, do not worry, there are ways of identifying them as belonging to their individual doors. So let's gently pop those back in. Okay, so final check before I put the trim in. We have got, that's tightened up, those are tightened up, those are tightened up, that's tightened up. This is all nicely in. I've added the puddle light, see separate video. That's wired up, done the connector. The connector's back in and the clip is down, so we are good to go. So let's start with the end piece. I gave it a quick wipe, but there's not much to them really. 2 little gaps to aim for. Nope. There we go. Don't beat around the bush, that goes in nicely. And then the one for the door. Now I need to hook the end on for this. So hook that in. That's it, the end is hooked in, and then that should just push top and bottom. That couldn't be easier, could it? That's great. Let's do the main piece next. So obviously the right side. Checking we've got the little rubber boots, that was in place, that's there. Probably easiest to start at the top, work along and down. So let's offer it up. Let's get those little locator pins, there they go. Push, 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 push. And it really couldn't be any easier, could it? Brilliant. Final one. Now this one we have to do in reverse, so we have to hook it in. There's a little, it's way too far away to show you this, but there's a little piece here which had to sit down on top, so that's the reason for doing it out and back that way. So we'll just put the little foot in, that's just in. Now we'll come back and locate it at the base. There we go, pushing in the base, that's it, and we're going to just rock it back down onto itself. And that is the door card back in place, and all straightforward. As you can see, very modular, very easy to do, and yeah, that works really well. If you've checked out my other video about replacing the door check strap, the door stay, you'll see also that that's now not making any weird noises, and it's got a really nice solid stop on it, much better. So that's really good, happy with that. So I've popped round to the other side of the car, and the door card, which you saw a moment ago, is obviously now back on again. I can just see that it's snug up here, the right position, the right height for the window. I can put my hand around the gap. There's the new puddle lights on this side, and it's uniform, so I'm happy that it's in place. And actually, if I put my hand on the frame and pull the handle, yeah, there's no flex in the center, so it's time to screw this into place. Let's start that down here. Great, and then obviously next is the reintroduction of the trim pieces. So funnily enough, the exact same procedure, albeit in reverse, but it makes no practical difference. Giving these a quick clean again. So we'll start down here, pop that in, give it a bit of a bosh, and that's gone in. Door handle, not forgetting that we need to hook the narrow tapered end in. So handle out, hook it on, and you know it's hooked on because you can't pull it any further forward, and then just push those in. It really is as simple as that. The main piece, checking for the rubber boots, we've got one there, one there. Those are your points of alignment, starting top left. So we'll go in there, and then in there, push, 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 push. And then the little corner fillet, just hook it underneath. Go. And then with it tipped back, push the feet in, and then it just rocks sort of in and down simultaneously. And that's gone in the same way it came out. So now we have a second door card back on. Again, we've got the puddle light installed somewhere down here. There it is. That's a separate video. Do have a look at that. The replaced door check stay, door check strap, many in different names. That's in place too, and already you can see probably doesn't look much different, but what you hopefully can tell is there's no creaking. There's no creaking when it goes from that stop to that stop. Much better. Right, so that is basically done. I'm going to give it a quick wipe down, brush the Alcantara, and I think we're there. So there we go. We've got two door cards back on two doors, everything clean behind it, and I've hopefully demonstrated to you how relatively easy it is to take them off and what's going on behind there, and how, again, relatively easy it is to put them back on again. 4 screws, 4 bits of trim, lift off, lift back on, and there's the local birds quieting down for a moment. It's a good opportunity to say thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, do give me a like or a thumbs up. There's plenty more coming soon. It's worth watching the video about the pointing behind me, the door check straps, the door stays, which I've done simultaneously as part of this job. Have a look at that. And then the puddle light video needs part 2 for me to go and code it, but that's coming along too. So lots more to watch or to anticipate coming up. Give us a like, as I say, do consider subscribing, but as ever in the meantime, thank you for watching and I'll see you for the next one.